live in just a few minutes. Not even. Well, we're actually live, so you can see. There you go. Sit back a bit. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon here in North Yorkshire. It's glorious. Well, I'm sitting here with Chris, who actually many people in the anti-fracking community will know of, because he has become a bit of an urban myth, perhaps, a legend in the last 48 hours or so, as he effectively refused to deliver some drill pipe to Third Energy to their PK1 well site just up the road here. But Chris has visited us this afternoon at the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp. So Chris, it's an absolute pleasure to meet with you. So give us your account, your version of what actually occurred when you turned up at Pickering last Friday.
Well, basically I was just going about my normal day. I got given my paperwork in the morning to go and pick up a trailer. But on my paperwork there was no name of a company that I was actually delivering it to. It was just an address with some instructions to wait in a lay-by and call the company. So I'm just plodding along, coming to the site, not thinking anything of it. And as I turned up to the site and I seen people with their signs, I slowly started to realise where I was coming up to. And I pulled my wagon over. I got out. I spoke to one of the people there. I think her name was Patsy, and she explained that it was a fracking site. And I don't know massive amounts about fracking, but I know that it's wrong. I have done a little bit of research, and it is something that I don't agree with. And straight away, I realised I was in a position then where I wasn't going to be able to deliver it. Otherwise, I'd be a hypocrite to myself. You know, I wouldn't be being true to myself. So I thought about it. I actually rang my brother straight away, and I was like, I'm in a position here, like a bit of advice, and he just said, like, you've got to do what's right for you. And I was like, well, it's a job. I'm not delivering it. And for me, it wasn't a big thing. I didn't expect such an impact. Like, I've come here today and everyone's like, oh, wants to meet me. And for me, it was just like, nah, yeah, cool, I'm driving off. But at the same time, it was quite emotional as well, because I felt like, wow, I've been put in this. It felt quite strong to be put in the position, do you know what I mean? And then coming here today and seeing how much of an impact it has, I'm so glad that I didn't deliver it, you know, which I was never going to do. It was, yeah.
But you said something right at the start there. You said that there wasn't actually any specific delivery instructions on the paperwork. It just instructed you to pull into the lay-by on the A169, call the company, and wait for instructions. I mean, didn't you find that a little bit unusual?
I did, but sometimes, like, we'll get a job and the paperwork might not all be there, and you'll get to job and like, oh, just email us ring us when you get there, and we'll email you the paperwork. So sometimes that sort of stuff does happen, but for this, there was no name of the company. It was literally just an address. And I actually rang after I'd spoke to Patsy at the site. I rang the site agent like I was meant to, and I said, oh, is this a fracking site? And he straight away said, no, who's this? He wasn't very nice, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm the person delivering your equipment. Straight away he was like, right, okay, don't speak to any of the protesters, wait there. And I was like, no, is this a fracking site? And he still tried telling me no. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I like, we ended our phone call, and then I rang my employer and I said, I'm sorry, but it goes against my morals to deliver this. I'm not going to be able to deliver it. And actually my employer, I was expecting to get fired. I even said to the people there, I'm probably going to lose my job for this, but he understood. It's my beliefs at the end of the day, and he was more than he was like, yeah, we'll do a changeover. And he said, if that's how you believe, I'm not going to make you do something that you don't want to believe, which I was happy with, you know. I think I am going to try and look for further employment now. I realise that they're doing that sort of stuff, but that'll come.
Well, after we put out on social media, and we didn't put your name out, and we just showed the footage of you literally just pulling away from the well site, which around the anti-fracking community went fairly viral, you know, over the last 24 hours or so. And obviously there was a great deal of concern that you had lost the job, but you know, from the comments, and you'll see yourself, because I know you're not even on Facebook, are you?
No.
So, but if you join Facebook, God forbid, but if you join Facebook, you'll see for yourself that, I mean, the comments were incredibly supportive. I mean, there's people there actually offering employment, people offering, you know, financial support. So that decision would not have left you in any financial difficulty
Yeah.
or wanting for employment.
Yeah, that's sort of what I've realised when I've come to see you guys today, and how much heart is here. Do you know how much people are really? It's not about just protesting about something or, you know, trying to kick up a fuss. People here genuinely are like, I've got a heart. You know, it means something. And when I come here and people were so, I said to my brother, like, told him what I'd done, and I was like, do you want to come down? Because he's interested in this sort of thing too, and he was like, yeah, I'll drive you down. And like I say, the welcoming that I've had just by being here, and everyone like, oh, you're a hero. I'm like, whoa, no, I'm not. I was just doing my job by not doing my job. Do you know? I was just doing what's right, and I'm so glad that I've had such a big impact. But that's not what I was trying to do. I was just doing what anyone who used to do. You know?
I love that phrase. I was just doing my job by not doing my job.
Yeah.
You might get re-quoted on that once or twice. That's excellent. Now, Chris, I understand you actually got a military background, but it's an unusual and very interesting military background. Would you mind sharing some of that with us?
Yeah, I can do. I enjoyed my career in the military, and I loved the lads that I worked with in the army. But like the way that I did lose my career, I sort of went against something that I didn't agree with there as well. And I sat down on a parade, and I was discharged from the military. You know, it was something I felt passionate about then. You know, and I don't have any regrets to that. Like, I loved the job, but it sort of opened my eyes to a lot of the corruption that is happening in the world, because I realised then that people that I thought cared about me and didn't. And that's when I started doing a lot of research. And so the step with the military, that's sort of like, that's where it all started for me, really. Do you know? So yeah.
So you're a man of principle. I mean,
it feels like I'm getting that way. Yeah. In my younger days, definitely not. But I feel like now I'm starting to find these morals and starting to realise what means something to me, and it feels good.
Yeah, but I mean, how old are you?
27.
You're 27. Okay. And you're starting to realise, hey, listen, I was a late developer.
Yeah.
You know, I was 40 before I actually had the courage to step. Well, 42 actually, before I had the courage to step off the treadmill.
Yeah.
So, you know, hey, you're way ahead of the curve. But it's absolutely fantastic. And now, you know, one of the issues that we find in the anti-fracking community is that there is a predominance, if you like, of people who, how shall I put it politely, are the wrong side of 40. You know, what is it that we perhaps need to do to be able to get, you know, people your age or the generation that's coming through to be able to find the principles that you know, you hold so dear?
I think every person has got their own inner morals, yeah? Like, but it's not till you're put in a situation that fully tests what you stand for. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go through your life doing your day-to-day thing, you do your job, you're busy, you don't have really time to think about your principles, you're just living. And I think, like, the thing that happened with me in the army, that put me in a position where I actually thought about what I'm doing, you know, my actions, and then getting out of the military and coming back to civil life. It made me actually, something has to happen in your life personally to affect you as a person, I think, for you to then think, right, whoa, what is this? I need to actually look at it. And I think you can go and tell people all you want, but it starts with each individual person taking a look at themselves, I think. So you can put the information out there, and what you are doing, and it's down to every individual person, like what all these people on this site are doing, turning up. All it takes is for that one person to look in and go, actually, what are these people doing? And that's where it is. It's each person, just take that 5 minutes out of your day and listen to someone listening. Like, you know, like, I've started to listen, and that's where I've opened up. So I don't think it's something that you can do to say, right, what can we do to open people's minds? Just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually something will happen in there, people's lives. And as you can see, more and more people around the country are starting to realise that we are being sold out by major corporations, government. There's good people also within that, but I think it needs to be an individual thing, is what I'm trying to say. You can give people the information, but it's what they do with it as individuals. Yeah. Something has to happen in their life for them to think about what they are and where they are.
Yeah, it's almost like they need a shock to the system.
Yeah, to sort of be like, right, whoa, what am I doing here? And then that's what happened with me anyway. That's how I started to think about things differently, do you know? I actually stopped and listened. So, yeah, that's...
Well, I think, the irony is that probably if you spoke to everybody here and asked them that same question, they'd probably tell you something very similar.
Yeah.
Because it does seem to be a sort of pattern. And as I was sharing with you earlier, Joseph Campbell, who was probably the greatest mythologist of the 20th century, one of his works was called The Hero's Journey, which actually is a sort of template for pretty much everybody's life.
Right.
And at some point, we all have an opportunity to make a decision. And I joke sometimes by saying that anyone who's still doing at 55 what they were doing at 35 has missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
But like I said, you're way ahead of the curve. 27. Hey, so where does it go from here?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's the start of a new journey. Definitely. I feel like it was the start of a new journey over the past couple of years, but I've been wanting to get involved with something. I don't necessarily know what, but I've been wanting to get involved and do something different, something good that I feel passionate about. And I feel like I wasn't just sent to that job by chance. It's all happened for a reason, do you know what I mean? So I think maybe this is the start of a new journey for me, definitely. 100%. This is the path that I've been heading towards, and I feel like I'm slowly stepping on it, do you know? So definitely there's more to come from me yet.
Well, it was a big step. I mean, you turning up at the site on Friday, you met 4 people. There was Rob and Patsy, and John and Val, and they were all really impressed from their conversation with you.
They were so welcoming as well. It's not like, at first they didn't know whether I was going to be making a delivery or not, but none of them was like, get away from here, or there was no nastiness. There was like, hello, how are you doing? There was no animosity towards me for what they thought I was going to be doing, do you know? And then that in itself, do you know what I mean? They wasn't there to cause any trouble. They was there to give people information and say like, come on guys, just have a look at this. And it was amazing.
Well, you may not know this, and maybe many of the people watching this don't know this, but John and Val Marga are part of a group in East Yorkshire who call themselves the Jerry Activists.
Right.
And John is actually the former Director of Education and Children's Services for East Riding Council.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
Did he?
Yeah,
and Val, his wife, is a former teacher, and they were the first 2 people to be arrested at Crawberry Hill in East Yorkshire nearly 3 years ago now.
Right, okay.
For exactly the same reason. I mean, it was a line in the sand for them, but there's a great end to their story because they persisted in their opposition to Rathlin Energy and blockading the trucks every time they went into the well site. And on August the 12th of 2015, Rathlin Energy announced that they were going to abandon their Crawberry Hill well site without fracking it.
Really?
So, and this is the wonderful thing about this movement. It brings together people from right across society.
Yeah.
People that I would never have met probably if it wasn't for this, and seeing people literally from all walks of life, all political, religious, all philosophical beliefs, and all united by, this one issue.
Something that they feel passionately about. Yeah, it's good. I can feel that energy already, and I've been here for a couple of hours.
Couple of hours, yeah.
Guys, and that is exactly what I feel, yeah.
So now you live the other side of the moors.
Yeah.
And this is, and it was great that you took the time to, come visit with us. So do you think you're going to be back?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
You want to think about that?
No, I'm coming back. Definitely. It's just a matter of when. I've got a few things I need to tie up, but I'll be back.
Okay. So now, you're going to become a regular within, well, certainly the community here.
It's definitely something I want to come down and at least learn about and be around some like-minded people that actually feel something, you know. So yeah, I want to definitely come down, see what it's all about, see what, just get involved really, and give a little bit back, you know, rather than just living a 9 to 5. You know, I want to do something that makes a difference.
Now the key question, I want to come back to some of the comments that I've seen on social media over the last 48 hours or so, or not even 24 hours. First question: do you need another job right now?
No one ever needs a job.
Good answer. Do you want another job right now?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't
We'll
really
leave that
know
hanging,
where
but
I'm at,
there's...
you know?
I know you're not on Facebook.
Definitely the job I'm doing at the minute isn't what I want to be doing. And that's not because of the people that I'm working for. The employer that I've actually got at the minute is probably one of the best employers I've ever had in terms of he cares about his blokes, you know?
Well, he respected your decision, which is an enormous indicator.
Yeah. It just so happens that the morals behind the job aren't suited to me, do you know? And I haven't. Yes, part of me just says, "Yeah, just quit, don't go back. It's immoral." But life is life as well, do you know?
You've got to live.
Yeah, of course. But I'm definitely in the frame of mind now where it's just money. It's just a job. I can live without that job, and I think that's where it's going. You know, I'm a grafter. I'm willing to work hard. That doesn't mean I don't want to work.
Yeah.
I do want to work, but I want to put my energy into something that I feel, rather than just going to work to get a salary. It's not for me that anymore, I don't think. And I've had a lot of jobs over the past 3 years. I've probably had about 16, 17 jobs over the past 3 years where I've not been happy or been finding my feet, or occasionally I've actually been sacked, you know. And it's all leading to the way that I am going, do you know what I mean? It isn't for me, obviously. Do you know, I'm willing to work, I'm willing to graft, but I need to put my energy into something that I want to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to you earlier, 20 years ago, I couldn't even comprehend life without a salary because I'd never known anything different.
Yeah.
Now I can't even comprehend life with a salary because
It's not important.
it's an irrelevance now. And whilst I can't explain how the process works, once you throw yourself into it, you might not necessarily have everything you think you want, but you actually never need anything. Everything that you actually need is provided in one way, shape or form. Which
gives you a great sense of fulfillment anyway, I think. Yeah. Doesn't it? Yeah. Not to need all that stuff.
Exactly.
That you thought you once did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's bright sunlight. I can't see how many people are looking at this. Maybe I can. It says about 87, but it'll be up on Facebook, and then we'll punch it out on social media. So is there anything that you'd like to say to... it's primarily the anti-fracking community that are watching this right now, but I'm sure it will get out to the wider activist community over time. Anything that you want to...
Just keep fighting for what you believe in. Keep standing strong, and everyone come together, and if you feel it here, follow your heart, not your head. That's what I've started doing, and at first it seemed that my life got a little bit more difficult when I started following my heart instead of my head, but it's not so much, I don't see it as difficult, it's just made it more interesting. And I think it's definitely the way. Follow your heart, not your head. Stick together and stay strong. Well,
Chris, Rob and Patsy and John and Val were really impressed when they met with you on Friday, and I think I can see why. So it's an absolute pleasure to meet with you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure we'll meet again.
Thank you to Patsy and Rob and
John and Val.
And John and Val for giving me the number and telling me where the site was and telling me to come down. Thank you very much to you as well.
Thanks a lot. Okay, well there you have it. And so the good news is that Chris didn't lose his job. He actually has a very sensitive employer who respected his views, if only there were a few more of those around. And as you heard, he's not in any difficulty in terms of a job or finances, but I know that he's not on Facebook at the moment, but I know that when he takes a look at Facebook and he sees some of the comments that have been posted, then he will realise that there is an enormous amount of support out there and a tremendous amount of respect for the unique, because we've been addressing this industry, to put it politely, for the last few years, and I think this is the first time we've ever had a situation where a delivery driver has reflected on what they're delivering and decided not to. So thanks for setting that precedent.
Let's just hope more do the same.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Okay, well, there's no episode of Fracking Nightmare this week because I'm going to be up here at the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp. Well, that's the plan. Of course, plans can change, as we saw last week. But I will be back in the studios in Plymouth on Thursday week. So meanwhile, keep looking at the Facebook pages. And of course, the front line is still very much Preston New Road, where this week they are back in court in Manchester for their judicial review. So follow that. And meanwhile, those of you that aren't going to Manchester, you're over in Lancashire, keep doing what you're doing. And as Chris says, follow your heart. Do what you feel is right. Thanks very much. See you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it, my friend.
No worries, anytime.